Today we're going to look at Phalaenopsis, the moth orchid, but I'm not going to tell you how to grow them. I'm going to tell you how to plant them in a number of different ways. So this is going to be a hybrid between crafting and planting. We're going to use everything from blocks of wood to upside down planters. Now first up, we're going to create a display where you don't even need to get your hands dirty. I'm actually going to blend moth orchids with bromeliads, and I've chosen to do that because they've both got the same moisture requirements and they both like bright indirect light. So that means not right in front of a window, but somewhere in a room that is still fairly well lit. So I'm basically just going to put my orchids and bromeliads into this large cache pot, and they're going to stay in their original containers, and so you can then change them around from time to time. And I'm also going to dress this with a little bit of Spanish moss as well, Tillandsia, to make it look super pretty. So this is really crafting with my orchid plants. Just going to put my Spanish moss to the side for a moment. Now I've chosen this gorgeous orchid that has these bronzy, almost a little bit pink coloured flowers. That's quite an on-trend colour for orchids at the moment, but I've actually blended it with this very bronze and pink bromeliad, which I think works really, really nicely. So I'm really playing with that color palette here, but setting it off against this really gorgeous, rich yellow container as well. Lovely ceramic container, nice and heavy, very secure. So I'm basically going to drop my plants into that container. This is super simple. You're not even taking them out of their pots. And then we're going to cover over with that Spanish moss. So we're just going to squeeze those plants in their pots into that bigger cache pot, which is going to make it so easy to then water those plants. And then we're going to dress this with our Spanish moss, which just needs spraying a couple of times during the month. Okay, so this next method is super exciting because it actually allows the orchid to live as it does in the wild. Because what we're going to do, we're going to plant this upside down. And for this, I'm going to use a specially engineered upside down pot. So we've got the netting, which is going to help to keep our compost in place. We've got the hanger as well, which is going to allow us to hang that upside down. And we've got the rim. Now let me show you how we fix this into this. So first of all, we're going to grab our netting and we're going to put that around the plant like a collar, which is then going to make sure all of the compost and bark stays in place when the plant's upside down. Okay, so we've got our net around the plant now. We're then going to drop the plant into our upside down container and then grab our final collar, which is then going to hold the plant in and keep it secure. Okay, so in a similar way, we're going to get the collar around the plant safely, not damaging anything at all. And then you'll find that you'll be able to clip it in place just around the rim. Okay, so I'm going to grab my hanger because the time has come where we're going to hang our orchid upside down. It's going to be so cool. And the orchid's going to love it because this is how it would grow in the wild. So you've got your hook, which you can then obviously put into ceilings, or maybe you're going to put it under a shelf. You've also got your rule plug as well. And then your wire hanger. Now remember, when orchids are growing in the wild, they don't have sticks attached to them. So I'm actually going to take away the stick from my orchid so it can dangle freely, just as it would if it was growing on a tree in the rainforest. And now we're ready to hang. We've got a little hook there that we're just going to get our wire around, and then, you ready? Magical. Okay, so this is super exciting. The last way that you can display your miniature moth orchid is on a piece of wood. So we're going to grab our plant and we're actually going to remove all of that growing medium from around the roots and then soak the roots in water for just 5 minutes. And then we're going to be able to mount our orchid on to our piece of bark here. And we're just going to wash off those roots and soak them for a short while. Okay, so we also don't need the stick, so we're just going to remove that very carefully. Okay, now we've prepared our orchid plant, so it's ready to then mount onto this piece of wood using some wire and some moss. Okay, now I've got this little piece of driftwood, and I'm going to grab some wire and then basically strap my orchid to the driftwood, spreading out the roots as I go. Okay, so I've wired my orchid with its roots onto that piece of wood, and now I'm going to dress those roots with moss and then do another layer of wire just to make sure everything is safe and secure. That looks pretty good. Looks really, really natural. We've got our sustainably sourced moss here as well. We've got our bark wood. All we now need to do is put this onto a tray or a saucer so we can then water this easily over the next few months. So there we go, almost made to measure. I've taken that stick away, so I've got that nice natural flow with the flower stem as well. And all we'll need to do is just spray that with water around once a week.